Hello everyone, Blue Star Saber here once again to do another Darth Maul Shadow Lord review. Episode 9, Strange Allies, and Episode 10, The Dark Lord. These two episodes follow up the last two episodes in which Darth Maul, after helping Devon escape, takes her back to her lair, but she still refuses to become his apprentice. As a result, they separate for a bit. Riley gets captured, and the Empire is in pursuit of Darth Maul's gang. Some of his members betray him, due to not getting enough credits and money, but they end up meeting demise and destroying the one escape vessel that they had, as well as one of the Zabrak brothers ends up sacrificing his life to save Maul when he's battling both the Inquisitors. We're able to best him due to the fact that his legs are damaged. As a result, you have in the following episode, our heroes of Lawson, Jedi Master Daki, who of course reunite with Devon after she escapes, but Riley gets captured, to go to the police prison where Two Boots, after a bit of losing more and more, seeing how much the Empire ignores protocol, as well as learning that Captain Rice has been killed, and when Lawson contacts him to turn himself over to save his son, ends up betraying the Empire and joining up with Lawson, if you will, while Darth Maul during this time is going through some sort of like force vision thing, remembering his entire life, and finding that he will prevent Sidious from ruining ruining others' lives like he did his own. Of course, he still has ambitions to become a Dark Lord, if you will, and reunites with his crew, where apparently Dryden Voss has made contact with them in order to speak with Maul, if you will, while Jedi and the police crew, if you will, end up nearly escaping, but one of their friends was compromised, and she ends up sacrificing herself to make sure that they escape from the Imperials. So yeah, all this is going down. How will our heroes escape? How will Maul escape? And will he be able to recruit Devon? These we'll find out in these two episodes. So, we basically see the episode begin with a full lockdown of the planet, if you will, saying that anyone that leaves curfew gets killed, just showing you just how badly the Empire's occupation on the planet Janix is, where we have Maul, in contacting basically Dryden Voss, if you will, as hold on, oops. Let me just sorry, I'm just trying to Dryden Voss here. As we see Dryden Voss, who offers Maul a deal. He will come and rescue him. In exchange, he will kill the current leader of the Crimson Dawn, if you will. Apparently, someone named Rentario, which, as far as I can tell, is a character that has only really been mentioned in a book called Crimson Climb, apparently. So, and I think that might have been only indirectly mentioned. So, yeah. Maul, agrees to his attempts to he will kill his master, he will kill his boss in exchange that he becomes lead. He rescues him and he gets to be the leader of Crimson Dawn, though granted. Vario of Dryden Voss, of course, will answer to Maul, but Maul praises him for this cunning idea. As a result, discussing this, you have Rootcast, of course. Oops, my bad. I've ended up doing the wrong thing there. Share screen. Here we go. Rootcast wondering if he can be trusted and all that stuff, but I'm not sure if that part is correct, but as Darth Maul tells the crew to get everything ready, he has to deal with one more thing with Rootcast saying, "Are you sure you're going to be able to recruit the apprentice you desire?" and wondering how on earth they're going to get out of the city. And Maul decides that perhaps Brandon Lawson will know what to do. So they get into contact with Maul plans to use Brandon Lawson to help them escape. And we then, of course, cut to heroes, if you will, or the equivalent of good guy characters in this show. Devon, Darky, Lawson, Two Boots, and Riley. Well, I think you see Two Boots reveals that his comms are now being taken over and all that stuff. So yeah, he's basically realized he's become a full-on criminal. Devon gets a vision of basically Darth Maul telling him to meet at a certain spot. Ends up revealing to the gang, and Darky realizes that Maul is the one that planted there. So yeah, they end up going to meet Maul, if you will. So hold on, let me just remove, add to stage. So yeah, they end up going to meet Darth Maul, if you will, and Darth Maul offers a deal saying, I will take you with I have a ship that's going to pick us up outside the city, but you need to provide us a direction, which Lawson, after realizing like the escape, the entrance to go would not work, but he knows a secret path. And as we see this, you get the good guys discussing, Two Boots saying that he doesn't look like a trustworthy fella. Darky agrees to the terms, but reminds everyone to remain vigilant, and they agree. So all the characters that are there, Spybot and Icarus, I think the one that the surviving of the two brothers, agrees to agree to work together to basically escape, and during the course of this, they eventually arrive to a power station. Granted, Spybot informs Maul and Root Cars that apparently there's no escape thing, with Lawson sort of telling them that it's there, but he ends up being forced to lead the way. Meanwhile, I think Darky confronts Devon about how Maul was able to plant that vision, realizing that they must have formed some sort of bond, and Devon comes clean that Maul rescued him and Riley when they were separated. Now, Darky tries to warn you that did he do that for your sake or for his own? Warning her that Maul is probably only just using her, and I wouldn't be surprised if he realizes that Maul set his eyes on Devon to become his apprentice. So we have that moment there, if you will. But eventually we cut to where the Imperials are, and Maul, the group discusses how to try and deal with them. Darky says wait, but Maul realizes that their contact will not wait long, so he leads a charge. After Spybot knocks off the comms, if you will. So Maul leads a charge, and mows down a bunch of stormtroopers and a walker. And during this, as you see characters like Cars, if you will, and I should probably mention during the course of this episode, Fario gets introduced to Riley, if you will. So there's that bit there, and so Maul is basically getting down, and then you see our Jedi blocking stormtrooper blasters, our good guys shooting them, and Riley even picks up a gun, but instead of killing them, sets them to stun. And eventually they go into a sort of police power station, where it's revealed that Lawson once caught a fugitive there, and thinking ironic of his situation, and finds a secret passageway out of the tunnel, if you will. And meanwhile, the two Inquisitors are in pursuit, and they did actually try to chase the good guys a bit earlier, but they escaped. But then eventually come to where the power station is, and following they're able to follow the trail and sense where our hero's gone. And during the course of this, our heroes end up running into like a sort of acid, water polluted area. We get a funny moment where Two Boots is saying he's going to report it, but Lawson, Ducky, and Maul look at him saying like, and he's like, yeah, this is not the right time. So Spybot, let's see, after Lawson's like finds this little transport, little skid thing, if you will. Let's see, Spybot repairs it and carries characters two by two. First, of course, is the Lawson, let's see, father-son duo, where Lawson apologizes to his son for not getting to spend much time for him and all that stuff, but looking about how his work has caught up with him. But Riley says at least we're now spending time as we're looking on the bright side. Then we've got Two Boots with basically let's see, Vario, if you will, and you kind of see the two argue a bit. Let's see, and I do like the amusing bit where Riley is sort of like not Riley. Let's see, Two Boots is commenting about how he seems to become as low as a future criminal as a Vario is. I do like the moment where Spybot is implying that's a good thing, but we can only understand it from like Two Boots' perspective. But Devon ends up sensing something, if you will, and realizes that let's see, something is happening, and let's see, as a result, you've got all the other Jedi, let's see, her master and Maul preparing for battle and telling everyone to sort of get ready, if you will, to move out. Doing this, and of course we get the Inquisitors 8th and the 11th and first brother, or Marek, if you will, coming in and fighting. Let's see, Jedi and the Stormtroopers taking on all the characters with blasters, if you will. So scoring Icarus, and well, you do get let's see, sort of like Two Boots and Fario shooting, let's see, while on the skim thing, and our father-son duo, if you will, shooting from like the edge, if you will. But let's see, hold on, let's see, and let's see, Root Kaz as well, who is shooting for a bit, gets knocked by one of the Inquisitors for a bit before Maul, but she gets her to go on the sort of skimmer thing with another Mandalorian while the rest are still fighting. And as far as I can tell, you've got, if I can recall quickly from this, is that you've got Maul, let's see, lightsaber dueling Marok, if you will, while Devon and Daiki end up dueling the 11th brother during this whole thing. And during the course of this, Marek kills Spybot as he's trying to come again to bring more people, and it's like, Master! And many of the Mandalorians that are on the other side get shot down one by one by either stormtroopers or stabbed by the lightsaber, and Icarus ends up going down like a it's like a champ, if you will, after killing multiple stormtroopers and then getting shot a few times. Charges at 3 stormtroopers and taking them down with him to the pile of acid as we see them sink in to get melted and all that stuff, though not in too graphic details, thankfully. But yeah, but let's see, Icarus is dead, and I do like a little moment where we hold on, we'll get a little moment where let's see, Root Cass, notices this and feels a bit of sadness, if you will, or arguably because, like her, let's see, he is also a very loyal comrade of Maul, if you will. So you have that. Eventually, Devon is sort of like goes off next, and then uses the force to like hold up the bridge thing, and then Maul lets Daki go, as Maul ends up fighting both 11th Brother and Mark, with particularly going to Mark that you're just a pawn of Darth Sidious. He will dispose of you. He will toss you aside like me, if you will, which is interesting to see. But yeah. But eventually, Maul ends up fighting both for a bit before ends up escaping and getting to the other side as the transport thing melts in the way since they no longer need it. And the 11th Brother and Marek tell the stormtroopers to contact this mysterious person that they're coming his way, if you will. So you end up walking a bit, and Devon ends up telling Maul that she's sorry that you end up losing all your friends. Now, Maul doesn't really show much emotion. Arguably, being a Sith Lord, being a former Sith, doesn't really care for many people, though I wouldn't be surprised at the very least. He was sad, though he did show signs of being sad for Spybot and maybe Icarus, if you will. At least he seemed to care for these two at the very least. Maybe Root Cass, but not enough to display those affections. But let's see. Daki takes note of this. Let's see. There's a bit of concern that perhaps Devon is trying to become too friendly with Maul. But during this, hold on. Oops, I've accidentally and during this let's see, let me try and add to stage. Yeah. During this, when they just got outside, you have Root Kaz and then you have a Mandalorian trying to scout out ahead, but then we hear screams and it appears the Mandalorian commando is being killed, and then Root Kaz says there's something out there, but she gets dragged back with the Force, and you hear some breathing and choking, and it's revealed to be none other than Darth Vader, the Darth Vader, out about, and was apparently killed Root Kaz off screen, and is now confronting our heroes as we sort of end the episode. So yeah. Given now that's what was being said, now it's time for my overall thoughts on this episode. So yeah. Let's see. What I do like is the fact that Dragon Force, we see his motivations and all that stuff, and why he's contacting basically Maul, if you will. So and the reason we learn that he wants Maul to kill his boss so he can take over, which arguably is a good way of tying into Solo, if you will, because we do know that Maul is the mastermind behind Crimson Dawn. Let's see Dragon Voss's boss, and we see how he ends up getting this loyalty. And it's like, let's see, Maul, let's see why he's in charge behind the scenes. Dragon Boss is like the public face of Crimson Dawn's criminal empire, if you will. So we can see how he becomes. We can see with this Darth Maul Shadow Lord how he becomes loyal to Maul by asking him to become sort of like help me kill my boss and let me become the leader of Crimson Dawn, and I will get you out of here, and arguably later come into his service, as we see. So yeah, so it works quite well there. So I like how this was used. So but yeah, I like that. So I like the sort of motivation we have there for other characters like Icarus. I will admit, I do like how, let's see, the episode when he's fighting down stormtroopers, he's sort of like trying to do his best, if you will, to like fight off the stormtroopers, but when he's looks like he's no chance of escaping, decides like, if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me with like 3 stormtroopers. So it's like he, in many ways, he dies like his brother, but got a more, got more of a chance to take down enemies than his own brother did. So he got to go down like a badass, if you will. So props to him. I was like, but I think it is obvious the moment one brother was dead, the other one would follow suit. I'll admit, I thought it might have been the last episode, but nope, it ended up happening here. And speaking of death, I will admit I was very much surprised that Spybot ended up being killed as well. I figured Spybot would last long, but I do like it the moments he has throughout the episodes, jamming comms so Maul can attack the stormtroopers. Teasing Riley, if you will, and saying no touchy, if you will, and teasing Two Boots about having being a criminal now and all that stuff. But yeah, I do like how he was like used to like he sort of also helped transport some people and end up ruining and touching father son moment for a bit. But his death was like, I will admit, I did not expect to see it before at least like another season or two. But it seems like this character was only for the short term, and it's like being cut in half and then his body melting in the thing. But yeah, I do like how he just calls out for his master in the end, and you can see that Maul is somewhat upset and angered. It seems, well, I doubt Maul deeply cares for Spy, but I think he at least had some affection, like it's like a nice pet or something. But I mean, the closest that Maul would care for a droid, if you will. But yeah, I doubt we'll ever find the origin of this droid unless we get like some sort of comic and book of like covering the details between Shadow Lord and the Clone Wars. But yeah, I think it's Spybot's time is done. It's a bit of shame, and it was nice seeing this character, even though sometimes I had to put on subtitles just to hear what he was saying. But yeah, but it was like pretty I think it was pretty fun to see evil droid character, but he also bit the dust in this episode, if you will. So yeah. And speaking of the other sort of major death, we sort of got Root Cass, if you will, which I will admit, I was a bit surprised that she would end up dying at the end of the season. I thought it's like she was going to have a bit of a character arc. Next one, with her clashing with if you will, Dara. Hold on, let me just I've forgotten her. I'm complete. Yeah, Devon, if you will, because I figured. Oops, I forgot to share the screen. So yeah. Root Cass, I figured she'd end up conflicting with Devon about where her loyalties lie and all that stuff. But yeah, and maybe continuing to debate with Maul to some extent. But no, it seems like that part is done, and it's like and she just ended up being a casualty against Maul, which I will admit, it's like holy moly. So But when it's Darth Maul, I can see how she gets taken down. But I do like that she does have some moments with Maul, realizing that he wants to try and recruit Devon and wondering how they can do it. And I like the bit of the moment where Maul tells her to show some respect to Jedi Master Daki, since he is a master. But also revealing that we do need him, at least for now. So I do like how Maul is like she's still like asking what Maul's plan is for like Devon and how they're gonna deal with like her master, and I'm very curious to see how she would have tried to play a role in that. But unfortunately, she of course got taken down by Darth Vader. But yeah, it makes sense. But it's interesting to see that all of Maul's allies have basically been killed, if you will, minus the one I thought would end up not surviving this season, if you will. So if you will, which let me just get to a second. The one I did not think I'd expect to sort of like survive this season, but ended up surviving the Maul and all of Maul's other allies, if you will, is the reluctant one of Vario, if you will, who sort of like I do like the moments where he seems to be interacting with Lawson. It's like, oh, you're a goody two-shoe Lawson, but all that stuff. and all that, but also having a few commercial moments with arguing with Two Boots and just trying to make sure he survives. So, but yeah, but I guess props to him. He seems to have managed to survive longer than all of Maul's other allies. And I'm curious to see where his role will be with like Crimson Dawn and I guess Maul in the future, if you will. Because let's see, as far as we know, he could still end up dying either well, I'm not going to spoil the next episode just yet. Next episode, or let's see, next season, if you will, if he does survive through the next episode. But I'm not going to spoil. Anyway, so but yeah. I do, once again, these two Inquisitors are doing, phenomenally well. I like how they are tracking the Jedi and realizing where their path is going. And the Jitsi skills of a lightsaber, either taking on, two Jedi at once, or both able to team up and gang on Maul, if you will. And I think there's a little interesting moment we have with at least Marek, if you will, where Maul is telling him that, Darth Sidious will cast you aside and let you die, like he did with me. I do wonder if this might explain why Marek is somehow one of the is somehow alive post Return of the Jedi. It's because he realized that Sidious at some point was going to cast him aside, so he left the Inquisitors, became a mercenary under Bale and Skull. Though granted, granted, some things next episode I'm not going to say might imply that it was just he was just brought back with Night Sister magic, and it's like Bale and Skull's group and Morgan Elsbeth was like the only path he had left. So it could have been that as well, to be fair. So who knows? But yeah, it was like a nice little lightsaber duel. And I do like how Two Boots. I do like Two Boots is sort of like realizing that throughout the episode how much he's become a bit of a criminal and all that stuff. No longer getting the police comms working. Realizing when he's crossing the bridge thing, acid waste thing, that he's become a common criminal, like with the likes of Vario. And I even like the funny moment he had. The funny moment he had where it's like where I still like his police protocol thing of like okay, there's like look, there's improper disposed toxic waste. I need to report this, but then like you've got like a lot of other main characters looking at him saying, "Are you serious right now?" And he realizes, yeah, not a priority. It's like it's in his protocol to like report crimes, but he can no longer do that. So I thought that was like funny moment. And I do like how Lawson did have a means of like, of course, Lawson had a means of like getting out of the planet, getting out of the city, if you will, for a route that he once caught a fugitive with, which is a bit ironic. So I do like how him and Darky discuss about whether or not they can trust Maul and all that stuff. But I think his really best moment, of course, is with his son, which he does finally acknowledge that he didn't really spend enough time with him, and now they're in this current mess, probably because his work cut up to him and all that stuff. But I do like his son didn't really blame him, which I will admit, props to the son for like admitting, at least on the bright side, they had some time to spend together. I do like how he started to take a bit of action, if you will, by picking up a blaster, but being young as he is and probably not wanting to become a killer, tries to stun all his enemies, which I think it's fitting for like this young character that's like not had to kill before, so he has a means of like stunning his enemies, if you will. So not to become a killer. Granted, as he's not like his father, who's a cop who will probably have to kill when necessary. But yeah, I like how he stuns. So yeah. Other than that, I do like how Darky is willing to like try and work with Maul, but is warning everyone to be very cautious. And I do like how he is now starting to question Devon, like how did Maul get put vision and all that stuff, and having her to admit that let's see, he did save him, and I do like how he tries to keep warning her Padawan that you cannot trust Maul. I do even like that Maul at least seems to respect Darky and the fact that he is a Jedi Master, even though he realizes long term he needs to get rid of him in order to get to Devon, if you will. So, yeah. And I do like how Devon, let's see, you can see signs that well, she's trying to like listen to her master, showing like yeah, there are like she is sort of unironically bonded with Maul, despite whether or not she realizes it or not, if you will. Especially like trying to apologize with the whole vision, and then trying to apologize to Maul, the fact that he lost some of his men, which arguably perhaps showing maybe some of that Jedi sympathy, but at the same time, she is, let's see, whether or not she likes it or not, is opening up to Maul, let's see, which is going to eventually lead to her being like coming his apprentice. So yeah, and hold on, I like how let me just add to the stage. Like, we got quite a fair bit of moments with Darth Maul, if you will. So, shall I stab? Yeah, shall I stab? We have these like moments of Maul throughout the episode where he is realizing that, praising, let's see, Dryden Voss for like clever plan. I'm thinking like, yeah, this is like some treachery, something that Sith would do. Like how he just thinks that perhaps Brandon Lawson could have like ways of means of escaping for them, since he knows the city, and like using the fact that they have a ship, he has a means of getting us out of here. Let's team up, and showing some like some moments of like having respect for a Jedi Master, even though he wants to get rid of them, and even like an awesome moment where he's taking out stormtroopers and a walker. That was fun. I do like how throughout the duel, he's able to like handle the Inquisitors quite well, despite his legs, even taking on two of them at one point. But I definitely liked the conversation he had with I would say describe as Marek, if you will, that Sidious would see disposed of me, he will eventually dispose of you. So thinking like cast you aside and all that stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I do like the sort of like intensity he has when Darth Vader's arrived, which I will admit this is now probably the highlight thing to talk about, which I will admit I did not which I will admit when this happened at first, when the Inquisitors mentioned that they're coming to where you are, I first thought, wait, could they possibly be referring to? And then when Cast was dragged away, it's like, no, it couldn't be. And then when I heard the briefing, oh my god, it actually is Darth Vader, which I will admit, I did not think the show would bring in Darth Vader just one episode before the final. I thought they would do something similar to Rebels, where he has a cameo at the end, and then it's like he'd be a bad guy throughout the second season, but no. They ended up bringing him early just to raise the stakes, and it did, because you already see him killing two characters in the party, basically. So, and one of them was a named character, which arguably probably the most disposable, but still, Darth Vader came in and mowed down the bad guy. So yeah, overall, the episode 9, I would definitely give it a 10 out of 10. This episode was pretty good, having all our allies and anti-heroes or anti-villains, if you will, coming together in order to survive the Empire, if you will. Some nice moments between some characters like Riley and his son, Riley and his dad with Brandon Lawson. Two Boots having some comedic moments. Darky trying to warn Devon about be careful of like your Ritzy of trusting more, and realizing that they forged some sort of like Ritzy connection, if you will. Dryden Voss tying into like the events of Solo, if you will. Darth Maul being a bit of a badass, taking on let's see, a Walker, as well as like a few of the Inquisitors, and of course the surprise, the amount of deaths of Spybot, Icarus, and Root Cass, if you will. So yeah, and also having that, let's see, suspenseful Darth Vader arrives moment. So yeah, really makes you really look forward to the final, as it's going to be something big. So let's see, doing one of the most anticipated lightsaber duel fights that people have always wanted to see, but wasn't sure was going to happen. Darth Vader versus Maul, in which we see the episode begin with Darth Vader fighting, let's see, Maul and our two Jedi, if you will, handling them quite easily. You have Lawson, Two Boots, and I think Vario trying to shoot Maul, but it doesn't work, and they sort of move out of the side. Vader eventually force purchasing them, so they end up escaping. So eventually you get like Riley, Lawson, Two Boots, and Vario being pushed on ahead as Devon, Daki, and of course, let's see, Maul, if you will, sort of going staying behind a bit to like duel with a lightsaber, and eventually have to use the Force to escape, if you will. And but yeah, so they managed to escape Vader for a bit, and throughout this part, you get a moment where I think Lawson, Two Boots, Riley, and Vario wonder. Let's see, getting a bit further ahead with Riley wondering if they made it out, with Lawson thinking that the two Jedi at least wouldn't do so, and Vario getting like contacts from Dryden Voss that they need to where's Maul, and he wants to make sure that he's there when they're at the roundup point, and the communications will be cut off soon when they're close to the planet. So you have that kind of like a moment, if you will. Meanwhile, you have Devon and Daki with Maul about escaping, where Maul reveals, let's see, during the course of like dueling, Vader asks who he is, realizing that he's something else, and so does Daki and all that stuff with if you call Maul sort of being like the devil's advocate, trying to persuade Daki that they need to use Force, but let's see, that doesn't work. But eventually Daki's saying, no, that's not the case. We should try to do a more peaceful method. Eventually ordering her to catch up with, let's see, with the Lawsons, since they need protection. But she ends up running into, like, of course, the two Inquisitors, and they end up fighting her. And eventually you get, like, also get a moment where Daki and Maul sort of, like, have a moment to themselves, if you will, with Maul trying to say that trying to insist that he's right, that we need to do an aggression, saying that Vader, not realizing who Vader is, but you can probably see that he's sort of guessing that, okay, this is very like, let's see, Sidious's new apprentice and all that stuff. And there is a moment where he's talking to Devon that, let's see, Vader, or the Sith Lord that they encounter, was trained by his master, Darth Sidious. And while Maul is sort of like telling this to like Daki that they need to use aggression, he knows how the Jedi fights, and Daki, of course, wants to remain principled with his Jedi things. But before anything, the debate goes on, let's see, sooner. Darth Vader, in a sense, showing up like a monster, if you will, crashing through the wall, grabbing a fist, kind of like one of those horror movie villains do, and starts fighting both Maul and Daki a bit, while Devon ends up dueling, let's see, the 11th brother and Marek, if you will. And I think Daki at one point gives Devon, let's see, a lightsaber to deal with, and eventually it goes between Daki versus Marek and the 11th brother versus Devon, and of course Vader versus Darth Maul, if you will. So we've kind of get that bit of a lightsaber battle going on for a bit. Meanwhile, our heroes of Brenda Lawson, Two Boots, and Riley, along with Vario, ends up encountering a group of stormtroopers and then shuttle, and they end up being shot by them, and they need to come up with a plan of escape and using one of the cannons. Vario ends up questioning this plan, and then does not get happy when he has to be used as bait. But after some encouragement from Lawson's, particularly Riley, saying that you're like the big man or something, or like you're the boss and all that stuff, as the others point out that he is small or too small and arguably less likely to be hit. Ends up being the distraction with eventually Lawson and Two Boots, as Riley is told to stay behind. He grab the Gatling gun and use it to shoot down the shuttle. And eventually, of course, Riley sort of somewhat disobeys and comes in to help, also stunning some stormtroopers. But unfortunately, gunships are coming in, they're surrounded. And during the course of this, Riley and Two Boots, along with Vario, get separated from Lawson while this is going down. And during the course of the fight, Darky is able to force push Marek off the cliff, seemingly possibly to his death or not, we do not know. But eventually, but you get like Devon and the Eighth Brother dueling. That eventually leads back inside the temple, while Darky sort of like teams up with Maul, if you will, and that's saying that together they can take on Darth Vader, if you will. So the two will do for a bit, and Maul gets damaged, and then sees a sort of opportunity to sacrifice Darky and realize that Devon's in danger. Ends up force pushing Darky and abandoning him, and this is ironically enough, Lawson sees this moment. So Darky ends up fighting Darth Vader alone, one-on-one, if you will, and we see sort of like Vader ruthlessly sort of bashing down against Darky, and though Darky is able to get a hit on his shoulder just for a bit, he stands eventually no chance, seemingly tired out eventually, and as we cut to Devon, who gets a moment to witness her master dying at the hands of Darth Vader, and this goes us into a bit of a frenzy rage against the 11th brother. And eventually she loses her lightsaber, but Maul ends up, if you will, let's see, let me just get the moment. Should have time instead. Maul ends up, which arguably he also did this a little bit before in the previous episode, separate his two lightsabers when fighting the two brothers, which was a pretty cool, awesome scene. And I like that he was able to show that he can fight with dual-wield lightsabers, not just double-bladed. So I did like that moment. So he splits his lightsaber in half and gives it to Devon, and they team up against the 11th brother for a bit, forcing him to retreat before Devon ends up starting to fight. Darth Vader for a bit. If you will, but of course stands no chance because, well, it's Darth Vader, if you will. So Maul, realizing this, he uses the Force to block them from Vader. Devon wants to pursue, trying to kill Vader, but Maul offers that not until you will get a revenge, but not until I've trained you for a bit. And you start to see that perhaps she's starting to take it because in her rage she's starting to fall to the dark side. Meanwhile, Dryden Voss arrives, taking down one of the remaining gunships. Luke Vario gets in aboard, quickly escaping and all that stuff. With Dryden Voss trying to ask where is Maul and all that stuff. But Lawson does a self-sacrifice thing, apologizing to Riley, he wasn't much of a father, and then asking Two Boots to make sure that he takes him to his mother. And so he picks up the grappling gun after it was blasted away from Two Boots for a bit, shoots at a bunch of stormtroopers, and then gets surrounded, seemingly getting shot down and killed, but we do not see his death, if you will, with the fog. And so two Boots and Riley escape with Dryden Foss, and eventually we see Maul getting onto the Maul getting onto the ship as Vader just looks on as they escape. So yeah, so that ends up happening. Dryden Foss ends up talking with Maul on the shuttle of the ship, if you will, front of the ship, if you will, in the driving part, asking I've done my part of the deal. Remember to do yours of killing his boss so he can become the leader of Crimson Dawn, which Maul agrees, and we see Vario listening in and all this stuff. I'm wondering if he's contemplating whether or not he's made the right choices, and now that he's with Maul and Dryden Voss, if you will. But we end up cutting to a grieving Riley Lawson, and Two Boots trying to confront him. Devon, of course, showing her rage. Does feel a bit pathetic that Riley has also lost basically a parental figure, as I wouldn't be surprised if Devon saw Jedi Master Daki as a father figure to her. But she's angry now, and then sort of comes to Darth Maul as he comes to sit to her, and she tells Maul that she is ready now, ready to be holding his lightsaber, ready to become his apprentice. As Darth Maul looks on, while we don't see his mouth and stuff, we see his eyes staring intensely, realizing probably that he has now succeeded in as giving Devon to become his apprentice, ending the episode. So yeah. Okay, I guess it's time for my overall thoughts on this episode. I'm going to start with, of course, Darth Vader, if you will. So, yeah, Darth Vader. He is basically everything you wanted in this episode. In many ways, it's a lot like his appearances in Jedi Fallen Order, and in some extent, Rebels, where he's just this and a Rogue One, if you will, this unstoppable force that cannot be taken down. And you can see it with just how he's able to take on two Jedi, a Master and his Padawan, and Darth Maul, a former Sith, on at the same time, easily dueling them, and even, with one hand for the most part, holding the lightsaber in one hand, and using using the other to use the Force to either block the lightsabers or even force choking them for brief periods of time, or using it to bash through walls. Honestly, Darth Vader, really does live up to the hype of being basically being this unstoppable force of nature, if you will, showing how just only the likes of Sidious and maybe Obi-Wan and Yoda currently alive in the galaxy could only stop him, and probably to some extent Ahsoka, but yeah, but it kind of shows you just how only in the end Luke Skywalker was only able to defeat Darth Vader when taking him down. So yeah. Now, granted, Darth Vader does not say a single line. Now, this is even because now, granted, I think Filoni said in some sort of interview that Vader's trying to destroy whatever he can of his past, and he just doesn't Jedi included, but it's these Jedi mean nothing to him, and arguably he has no real relationship with Maul, so he doesn't really have anything to say to him. Of course, with characters like Kenobi and Ahsoka, of course he would say a few things. Probably, and only really said a few lines, if you will, to Ezra and Kanan, if you will, by his counters. But even then, they were probably nothing to him, if you will. But yeah, but Maul is basically nothing, and he doesn't nothing to him, and he's just a target he needs to destroy. And I do like how he's like a killing machine, just trying to pursue them and all that. So I do like that sort of aspect, though. Granted, I do partly wonder if perhaps the reason they didn't have Vader speak with Darth Maul for a bit, which arguably is the only really disappointing thing in this episode, but it's because James Earl Jones passed away, and they didn't want to use the sort of video game Darth Vader voice, if you will. Though, granted, I do know that James Earl Jones gave Disney permission to use AI voicing of his voice to like voice Darth Vader, but let's see. I'm not sure if Disney wanted to try and give royalties to that just yet, but who knows? It could be possible that they decide to have Darth Vader talk with Maul down the line, as Maul does ask what he is, and all that stuff. But who knows? It could be possible that they have a rematch in season 2, and this was where they have a bit more dialogue. But yeah. But yeah, fans have wanted to see Darth Vader versus Darth Maul for a long time. The only time people thought this might have happened was like this comic of a Star Wars Tales that was originally non-canon in the EU Legends, but eventually did become, where this, I think, Darkseid cult resurrected him to fight Vader, and they had this cool lightsaber duel. I've read that comic; it's pretty cool. So I wonder if they did it with that, but yeah, and I do know that apparently Star Wars Rebels was originally supposed to have Vader fight Maul in the season 2 finale and killing him, but I'm glad they didn't and decided to do it here, showing that Vader, is robotic and all that stuff, is a bit above Darth Maul in terms of brute force. But granted, Maul's also got damaged legs. But whether or not Maul could take on Vader with his legs being more properly non-damaged remains to be seen. But I do like how Vader's shown to be quite this unstoppable force. So, yeah. Let's see who else should do. Anyway, I do like how Dran Voss is just making sure shows a bit of impatience with Vario's I want Maul. I do like his sort of philosophy that doing a bit of a risk earns a greater reward. Because it's he is doing a risk trying to get Maul here, and it of course works, and he's able to help Maul escape. So I thought it went well with his character. It's just his interactions with Vario were quite amusing. So yeah. And I will admit, for Vario, I thought it was amusing how he gets to get annoyed with the Lawson's plans to be used as bait. Or using a Gatling gun to shoot down the shuttle, but he does it anyway. I do like how he just immediately tries to run to Voss's ship when the moment gets there. Just saying, yeah, Maul's right behind me. He just wanting to make sure his own life is. But I'm curious where this character go, and if eventually he might try to turn on Maul or stick with him. But if he does try to turn on Maul, I think he will end up dying. So yeah, which I will admit, I'm surprised this character lasted the first season. I thought he was going to die by the end, but he may be trying to get away from Maul. But nope, it looks like he's sticking around long term, at least another season. We'll have to wait and see. Let's see at the moment. Two Boots didn't really get much of a role of this one, except maybe just trying to shoot and holding the Gatling gun, which was cool as he shot down a shuttle, but he's more of there to remain a support figure for Riley, if you will, which I'm curious to see how their relationship will develop now that apparently Lawson is sort of dead. I wonder if there might be conflict when it's revealed that Two Boots is the one that called the Empire as a result. They're in the mess they are now because Two Boots did this, and I wonder if Riley might be taking it too personal because not to understand that it was just part of his programming and he didn't quite realize yet. But we have to see. But I wouldn't if Riley's going down a bit of a darker path. I can see him being distant for Two Boots for a bit, but I can definitely see Two Boots trying to remain the more conscience. Hooray! And maybe to some extent Devon, if you will. So yeah. But yeah, I do like that Riley is continuing to use stun, if you will, to try and not killing the enemies and all that stuff. And I like how his group, if you will, with all the ones with the guns, just after firing at Vader for a bit, it's nope, let's move out of here. But yeah, but I do like how Riley wants to help Mert. Of course, his dad says no, too dangerous at one point, but of course he does so anyway. But not gets himself too much in danger. And I do like how we see the sort of grieving he has when his father seemingly sacrificed his life, which I'm going to go here with Loss, and I do like at the very least also that he had a bit of a moment with Varia of like encouraging him to like sort of like you be used as bait. Now Lawson, let's see. I don't think he's dead. If he is dead, I will say it's a nice, touching, and like ritzy, cool final moment of sacrificing himself to make sure his son escapes. But given the fact that we didn't see the body and he disappeared in the smoke, he probably survived somehow. If I had to guess, he gets shot a few times but collapses, but he's still alive and the Empire picks him away, and as a result, he's in prison for a bit for interrogation, but at some point escapes. And I'm wondering the main reason that this might be why he survives is because during the course of the lightsaber battle, let's see, against Vader, he sees Darth Maul using the Force to push Darky to Vader and leaving him to die, if you will, and realizes that, okay, Maul has double-crossed Darky, and if he ever encounters Devon again, is telling her that this is what Maul did. While Vader might have killed Darky, Maul let him die, if you will. So, as a way of turning Devon against Devon against Maul, because we do know in the end, despite the show, like how awesome the show is with Maul, if you will, we do know that even though it's in Solo, is behind Crimson Dawn and maybe some other criminal enterprises. We do know at the time of Rebels that he's got no resources left, really, abandoned, if you will, by himself, and is now seeking Ezra as an apprentice. So even though Devon may become Maul's apprentice, we know at some point she's going to betray him, and it seems that Brandon Lawson will be the key to do that. So, yeah, I think that's what we're going to see there. The Inquisitors remain to be quite badass, taking on the Jedi and all that stuff. Granted, Marok got force pushed, if you will. Let's see, off like the cliff. So, granted, he's either one fallen to his death. Let's see, and then later the Night Sisters used his magic to like revive him, and that's why he's all misty once he gets killed by Ahsoka, if you will. So it's like he's been resurrected, given a second chance, like that. Or he's been force pushed and he barely survives, but maybe the Empire might deem him a bit too much of a failure, and he ends up eventually leaving it to become a part of a mercenary group under Morgan Elsbeth. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But it's very likely that we won't be seeing him again for like future seasons of Maul. Let's see, especially if it's going to be revealed that no, he died then and got resurrected with Night Sister magic. The Evan brother, I thought, was quite a good obstacle for like Devon for a bit, particularly like the rage, and then having Maul and her teaming up against him. Of course, we know he wasn't going to die because he has to die against Ahsoka in the sort of Tales of a Jedi, but still, it was pretty good. And of course, we've got of course the long-awaited duel between death of Master Daki. As we expected, Maul sort of betrays him, and he gets killed. But I do like throughout the episode, he's trying to like stay to the Jedi principles and not going into aggression and all that stuff. And despite the fact that he doesn't trust Maul, does help him out a few times, helping to carry him and all that stuff, even trying to just debate him calmly, and even suggesting that together they can, if they work together, they can defeat Vader. And there's even moments where they do Redsi quite well, force pushing him together and all that stuff. But of course, Maul is a bad guy. He's never going to change. He's always going to make the same mistakes, if you will, and does the mistake of like abandoning Darky. But of course, he knew that he needed to get Darky out of the way, because once Darky is dead, Devon can become his apprentice. But I do like how throughout the episode he gets a win against one of the Inquisitors by force pushing him off a cliff, possibly killing him. And then even when he's being fighting Vader alone, he's able to even damage him a little bit, which very few are able to do. So he gets this sort of moment in, but of course, given his age, he probably is no match against Vader's brute strength, if you will. I do like that the final moments he has is like he's looking on his Padawan, realizing that she's seen his death. I wonder if he realizes that with him gone, and him dying in front of her, she's going to get to inflict her. She's going to feel nothing but rage, and Maul is going to exploit that. You gotta wonder, what his final moments. But at very least, I do think it's sort of like his Padawan. So but yeah, he may be a character that was always destined to die, as the mentor character always does, or at least usually does. But he got to go down, seemingly defeating one Inquisitor and even damaging Vader. So, arguably, mad respect to this character. Granted, I thought he was from the same race as that one Jedi that tried to kill down Count Dooku, but got shot by Django. But turns out, no, it apparently is a different race. But I suppose you can't blame me for thinking, given how similar they look. But oh well. And Devon, I do like throughout the episode, she's trying to see how she's trying to fight like Vader, the Inquisitors, even fighting both Inquisitors at the same time, and then having even with like her master's lightsaber for a bit before he can arrive to assist her while Maul takes on Vader. I do like how she does seem to compliment Vader. I mean, Maul's like aggression, but is trying to, of course, be respectful for her master. I think, though I don't say outright stating this stuff, but I think you can see it from expressions. But I do like how she listens intensely that when Vader Maul mentions that Sidious was his master and he's the one that took out the Jedi Order, and it's like this Maul is saying the right stuff to affect her judgment. But of course, as long as her master's alive, he's not doing. And of course, when her master dies, then you get that moment of rage. She is gone. She starts falling for the dark side, loses her lightsaber, and of course, Maul gives her part of his red one, and this is like the beginning of like their master-student relationship and the sort of rage as she wants to kill Vader for what he's done. Granted, we do know down the line she's going to eventually betray Maul, especially when she learns that he is the reason why his master died. But at the moment, she doesn't believe that and is willing to become Maul's apprentice at the end when she's angry and looks at the lightsaber. So it's like, fine, I will do so, if you will. I will join. I'm ready to be your apprentice. I'm curious to see how it would go. I'm wondering if she would end up getting the tattoos that Maul has, since she's supposed to be based off of Darth Talon. Granted, I don't think we're going to get the full body outfit, if you will, given the fact that she is a young character. I think a teenager, if you will. But who knows? It could be possible that if the next season eventually has a time skip and you have a bit more of an adult Devon, maybe you might get that sort of thing. But at the very least, you're probably going to get tattoos around her. At the very least, similar to Darth Talon's, but maybe not as exposed given the character's age in this Etsy thing. But yeah, but I do like I said, its best moment for this episode was taking on two Inquisitors at once with two lightsabers, and the pure rage she has from her master's death, if you will. So yeah, and of course we shouldn't forget let's see, main character, if you will. Let's see, Darth Maul. And let me just remove this. Darth Maul, if you will. I like how he's being sort of like the devil in Devon's ear, saying, no, we must use aggression. Ritzy, Darth Vader knows how the Jedi fights. You can only defeat them with Ritzy with anger, which of course is not the Jedi way. I do like how he ends up Ritzy working together with Devon and Dark to try and take on Vader, and then of course using the Force a few times to cause some boulder quakes to prevent Vader from pursuing for a bit. But yeah. But I do like how he tries to persuade Darky that he's right about trying to do the aggression in the Jedi way is not working. Which arguably it's not going to work on Darky, but arguably it's more of like just trying to get I think convincing Darky that they're on the same side. I even like how Maul is trying to use that. Okay, I was trained by Darth Sidious, who killed the Empire to try and persuade Devon that his ideas are right. And I do like how even though he's weakened, he does quite well against Darth Vader, but still needs, of course, help, which shows why Darth Maul wants an apprentice, because he knows he cannot take on either Vader or Sidious by himself. It doesn't work. He needs allies. He needs a strong apprentice to do so. So props to that. But I do like how, of course, he works with Darky for a bit, even together, and they do well for Vader for the most part. But the moment he gets injured and sees an opportunity to abandon Darky to die so he can get to Devon, and he does so using the Force push. Whether or not Darky would have lasted without longer without that Force push against Vader, at the very least, Darth Maul is making sure that that happens. And I like how he waits a bit for Devon to do rage before giving her part of his lightsaber, and then they're working together. And Darth Maul just using the right words. It's like, no, we will have our revenge, but let me train you first. I do like how he is willing to honor the agreement with Dryden, and then just giving his moment to sort of sit next to Devon, waiting for her to say the words. It's like, I'm ready now, and ready to become an apprentice. And I do like how we don't see him smile, but we can see in his eyes his thinking says, I got her. I've got her as an apprentice. So it's like, despite the losses that Darth Maul has had this season, the damages and the fitzy to his legs, at the very least, he's succeeded in one of his main goal on this planet was to recruit Devon to be his apprentice, maybe becoming Darth Talon, or at least Talon, if you will. But arguably long term, the losses he had with his loyal followers is going to come back to bite him, especially if Devon ever finds the truth. So yeah, arguably Darth Maul was quite good in this episode. Being invited Vader, interactions with Devon and Darky, and of course betraying Darky to get Devon to become his apprentice. So yeah, overall 10 out of 10 episode. You might be able to maybe knock down a few points for the fact that Vader and Maul, didn't really interact, but I do like how Maul at first doesn't really recognize Vader, but when he realizes he's a Sith Lord, you do got him thinking, and I wonder if he does know that he is Anakin Skywalker, and I'm curious to see if he'll end up talking to Vader again and next season saying, I know you're Anakin Skywalker, maybe even bring up how he wanted to try and kill him to prevent him becoming Sidious's apprentice. And I'm curious to see if he will mock Vader for what he's become with a worse state of cybernetics than he has. But yeah, overall, this was a great finale with some very cool lightsaber fights. Vader showing how much of a monster he is. Darky doing quite well against one Inquisitor and even damaging Vader. The inevitable betrayal that Maul would do with Darky, and a way of having Devon learn the truth with Lawson witnessing this and hopefully eventually telling him, even if he had seemingly had a heroic sacrifice, but I don't think anyone believes that he's actually dead. And I will admit, I didn't realize he witnessed the thing at first when I first watched the episode, but I'm glad I did double check and looking at reviews. But yeah, let's see. I definitely think Lawson's not done, and he will eventually reunite with his son and Two Boots. Now, whether or not it'll be enough to save Devon in the end, it could be that, she betrays Maul, but still full of anger and stuff. Who knows? But I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps maybe Devon, betrays Maul and maybe teams up with Kira to run Crimson Dawn. Now, granted, in the comics, post-Empire, I do know that Kira, Emily Clark's character, ends up becoming the leader of Crimson Dawn, and they have conflict with Maul. But I wouldn't be, Vader and Palpatine. But I wouldn't be surprised if perhaps Devon might be a secret partnership with there. I mean, if they're going to use Dirty Devon to become Talon as an antagonist for future Star Wars projects, maybe we'll see some post Ritzy Return of the Jedi. Maybe she's like secretly in charge of Crimson Dawn. I'm wondering if it's because it's possible that you could have her come into conflict with Luke Skywalker, maybe, and have her angry at Luke because he's the son of Darth Vader, the man who murdered her master, or even if she somehow makes it to the sequel era, ends up being maybe, I don't know, antagonist for Rey post Rise of Skywalker, being Palpatine's granddaughter, if you will, though. That might imply a sort of series between Rey and Talon, but who knows? I mean, we still don't know if that Rey movie is happening or not, but yeah, all that kind of stuff. But arguably, this season did quite well of leading up to some of the events of Solo, if you will, as well as seeing what Maul did between then, getting a new apprentice, one that is loosely based off of Darth Talon, if you will, as George Lucas wanted to do something with her in the sequels. But yeah, overall, good episode, great lightsaber duels, good moments with like the Lawsons and their allies with Vario and Two Boots, and seemingly a heroic sacrifice from Lawson, and the tragic death of Jedi Master Daki, but still got to go down as a very strong fighter, if you will. So yeah, great episode. I enjoyed it. And it makes me really look forward to seeing the second season. And I can see why some people regard Maul Shadow Lord as like the best animated show for Star Wars. I still think Clone Wars is, but we'll have to wait and see more seasons of Shadow Lord. But yeah, arguably a first good season for like the show, and arguably something that got at least diehard Star Wars fans excited for Star Wars again. I'm not sure about casuals, as I don't know if they always watch animation, but nevertheless, Darth Maul was probably what some people needed, and it goes to show Dave Filoni still kicks it with animation. So yeah, overall, great 2 episodes, both 10 out of 10s. I enjoyed them. For those who end up listening to a review, I hope you enjoyed what I had to say. I will admit it's gone a bit longer than I intended, but I'm finished now, and I look forward to chatting with you all next time. But for now, I am Blue Star Saber, signing off. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye. May the Force be with you.